I had been making my way back to King's Cross when police suddenly boarded my double-decker bus on Euston Road, just behind me. They said, "Get off the bus. Everyone get off the bus. Public transport isn't safe." Now, the second I got off the bus, I heard an enormous explosion.
You're all in danger here if you stay here.
As soon as I got here into Tavistock Square, I could see a bus, just exactly where that one is now. The difference is this bus didn't have a roof. It had clearly been in an explosion. It was very clear where the noise I'd heard had come from. I'm standing now on the exact spot where that number 30 bus was stopped that day. If you can see just behind me here, there's a tribute to the 13 people who died when the bus blew up. It's very, very different though to that day 10 years ago now. That was my only visit to Tavistock Square. I had no idea until today just how busy this place is. As you can see, there's a lot of pedestrian traffic and there's an awful lot of vehicles. But other things were different that day too. I remember the smell of diesel, and I guess with retrospect it was also a smell of explosives. But more than anything, it was silent. There was absolutely nothing. You could hear a pin drop, save for the odd noise of an emergency vehicle as they began to turn up. But I guess one of the more striking, one of the most obvious things, apart from the bus no longer being here, is the buildings behind me. They were severely damaged and they've clearly now been fixed.
Moving, please. On the pavement, please.
But that silence was pretty short-lived. It felt like just a couple of minutes before all you could hear were sirens coming from every direction. And by this stage, the emergency services were encouraging people to get away from the bus, as far away as possible, and a cordon had been put in place. The walking wounded did it themselves, but I remember quite a few people being put down on the grass just here, the more serious injuries. I think for most people, when they think of Tavistock Square on 7/7, the image that they remember is understandably the double-decker bus. But I remember just before I left, a lady sitting right here. She was covered in blood. She was holding onto the railings. I gave her a bottle of water and she rinsed herself off. And it was obvious then that she hadn't been injured. It wasn't her blood. She didn't know whose it was, but it wasn't hers. Now, she said to me, "Thanks for the water. I've now got to dust myself off and get off to work." So for me, that was my lasting image of Tavistock Square on that day.